Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. In this video I'd like to show you how to make the border for the blanket Nuts About Squares. This border has been designed by Tatjana from Lillebjorn Crochet, and the yarn that I'll be using in this video is Scheepjes Stonewashed yarn. It's one of the 3 color packs that was available for the blanket. Together with the yarn I'm using a 3.5mm hook, although for one round where I'm making the V stitches I'll be using a hook size larger because that just helps to keep them nice and flat. I'll take you step by step through all the rounds making up this border. I hope it's a useful video for you, and thank you for watching. Round 1 of the border is all about getting the stitch counts correct. So this first round we're also doing the same color, and the same color as the outer edge of the blanket, and it is just to get the stitch count right for the rest of the border pattern, because the number of stitches we need is a multiple of 4 plus 3 stitches. Now to fix that specifically for the Nuts About Squares blanket, I'll show you the first round in detail. I'm going to start in any corner on the long side. So this is the long side of the blanket, and this here is the short side. I can't show you the rest of it, but this is a corner square, and we're going to start on the long side. I'm going to start in the first stitch after a chain 2 corner space. I'm just going to attach there. So in that first stitch, that's the chain 2 space. In that first stitch immediately after the chain 2 space, and attach your yarn with a slip stitch in that first stitch. Chain 1. This chain 1 counts as your first stitch. We're going to close on that stitch with an invisible join. I'll show that when we get to the end of the first round. Now we're going to work a single crochet on every stitch till we get to the join. And what we're going to be doing along this edge is we're going to be adding 5 stitches, and then on the short side we're going to be adding 4 stitches, and that's to get the math right, because on every edge for the border to work you need a multiple of 4 stitches plus 3. So for example, 83 stitches on the long side times 4 plus 3 stitches. And that gives you the stitch count we need on the long side. So if you're using this border for a different blanket than the Nuts About Squares, make sure you have your stitch count right on the first round. That's a multiple of 4 plus 3 stitches. But if you're working on the Nuts About Squares, don't worry about the stitch count, just do what I'm doing and you should be fine. And what I'm doing now is I'm working a single crochet on every stitch through both loops until I get here to the first join, and that's going to be the first place where you just got to pay a little bit of attention. So I'm just working a single crochet on every stitch till I get to the join. And I'm almost to the first join, the first seam you have here. Got one more single crochet on that last stitch. Just going to work a single crochet in there. It is very hard for me to get everything in front of the camera, so I'm going to do my best because the blanket is rather big. Now you've got what you see here. Now we're to the first join, the first seam. You've got a chain 2 space there, and you've got the actual join, and you've got a chain 2 space on the other side. So what we're going to be doing is in the chain 2 space you work 1 single crochet. You get to the seam here, the join. I'm just going to work a single crochet in there and just punch your hook in. Don't worry exactly about where it is, because everything's the same color. It's not a disaster if it's 1 millimeter more to the left or to the right. So just try to get it onto that stitch. See, I've got it on that stitch there. Work a single crochet and then also go to the next chain 2 space and work a single crochet on that also. And now you've worked 3 single crochets in the first the first seam between square 1. You can see here's the corner where we started just a moment ago. And this is the first join. Here you worked 3 stitches, 1 single crochet, 1 on the seam and 1 in the next chain 2 space. The only place you're going to do this. On the next seam we're going to do 2 stitches. So but on the first seam you work 1 stitch in the middle and 1 on either side. Now we can continue. On your first single crochet after the chain 2 space, work again a single crochet, or on this half double I should say, work a single crochet. And especially that first one can be a little tricky to get into. You see I'm into that stitch there, so be sure you don't actually skip this first half double. And then again work a single crochet on every stitch. That's going to be 44 until you get to the next chain 2 space. And that next join we're going to do different to this one, because we're going to be having to add stitches to get our stitch count correct. So work a single crochet until you get to the next join. That'll be the second join on the long side. Almost to the second join. Just got a few more single crochets to do. Working through the entire stitch here. And now we're on to the second join, the second seam. We've got here a chain 2 space, the join and the chain 2 space on the other side. Now for this join we're going to be doing 4 stitches. The previous one we did 3 stitches. So in the chain 2 space, to make 1 single crochet. In the seam here in the join we're going to be doing 2 single crochets. So again I'm going to just punch my hook in there. So on that stitch, 1 single crochet and a second, so 2 single crochets in the join there. You can see I've got 2 in there now, and then go to the next chain 2 space and work 1 single crochet in the chain 2 space. So you can see here you've now worked 4 stitches. The previous seam, the first seam, you only worked 1 in the join, and here for the second seam you work 2 in the join. And this you're also going to do for the other seams on the long edge. So on the next stitch, which is again that first half double, be sure to not accidentally skip the first half double. Work a single crochet, and on every next stitch also till you get to seam number 3. And on that third seam you're going to be doing exactly the same as here, and also on the 4th and also on the 5th. So to summarize the pattern, on the first join you work 1 single crochet in the join and a single crochet in the chain 2 space before and after, and on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th seams on the long edge you work 2 single crochets in the join and 1 on either side of the chain 2 in the chain 2 space. So that way you're getting your stitch count correct. So this, what you've just done here, and a single crochet in every stitch, you're going to repeat that until you get to the corner of the long side. So continue, work a single crochet in every stitch. When you get to your next join, do exactly the same as here. Just a single crochet in the chain 2 space, 2 single crochets in the seam, and 1 single crochet in the chain 2 space. Repeat this until you get to the corner, then I'll just show you the corner and we'll talk about the short side of the blanket. We're now to the next corner. You see I've almost done all the single crochets. I still have 1 left here. 1 last single crochet. In the corner, in the chain 2 corner, do a single crochet, chain 2 and a single crochet in the same space. There you go. And now we're ready to repeat everything we've done before. So in that first stitch, work a single crochet and then work one on every stitch till you get to the first join. There you're again going to do 3 single crochets. Now let me just show you this all on a graph, then it'll make sense to you maybe a little bit more, because I've now shown you everything you need to do. How you do the corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, how you do the first join, and how you do the second and all other joins after that. But let me just show you this little chart that I've made here. It'll maybe make a little bit more sense to you. We started here at this point. This is a corner on the long side of the blanket. We started on this point here. It's also okay if you started on that point, it doesn't matter. Start at a corner on the long side. We worked a single crochet on every stitch until we got to the first join. Here you worked 1 single crochet in the seam, in the join itself. And remember, you always work a single crochet on either side in the chain 2 spaces, that you always do. Then we worked again a single crochet on every stitch till we got to the second join. There we worked 2 single crochets in the join itself. Again a single crochet on either side in the chain 2 space. Then continue onwards and repeat that on join 2. Or actually that's the third one, but that's the second one you're doing this with. On the third join you again work 2 single crochets in the seam and 1 on either side in the chain 2 space. Do the same on this join and on this join and on that one. That means that on the long side, in the first join you've only worked 1 single crochet, and in join 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 you've worked 2 single crochets in the join itself. Then you got to the corner, which is the thing that I just showed you. There you worked single crochet, chain 1 single crochet and go around. And then you get to your first short side, and here you're going to do the same pattern as we did on the long side. That means when you get to the first join, like here, you're going to work 1 single crochet in the join itself. Then when you get to the second join, you're again going to work 2 single crochets in there. The third join, work 2 single crochets, and the fourth join, work 2 single crochets. When you get to the next corner again, work the same corner as here, the single crochet, chain 2 single crochet. Then you come down on the next long side. Here you do exactly the same as you did here on the long side. So that means on your first join you work 1 single crochet, and in the second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth join you work 2 single crochets. You can see how this edge is then the same as that edge, just of course now you're working here top to bottom. Get to your corner, again 1 single crochet in the first join. Then when you get to the second you work 2, 2 and 2 single crochets in the joins 2, 3 and 4. So I hope with this chart I've been able to make it a little bit more clear to you. So to summarize, you work a single crochet on every stitch, and in every chain 2 space on either side of a join you work 1 single crochet in the chain 2 spaces, and depending on what your position of the join is you work either 1 single crochet or 2 single crochets. And this way we should get our stitch count correct to be able to continue with round 2. So the purpose of round 1 purely is to get your stitch count correct. So continue, go all the way around. When you're at this point here, when you're back at the start, I'd just like to show you how to do that invisible join. Almost back to the beginning again. Here's that first chain 1 we made. Just going to show you the last corner. So single crochet, chain 2 and then a single crochet in the same space. At this point we're going to close on the first stitch with an invisible join. So I'm just going to cut my yarn, open this up. I'm going to hook up this with a needle. You can also do this with the hook, doesn't matter. I'm just going to do it with the needle. Just see where you are. You see here's the chain 1 we made from the beginning, and that's the first stitch. I'm going to go through the first stitch, then we're going to be making a stitch on top of the chain 1. And now come back through that last single crochet worked. Pull it a little bit tight. There you go. And that is your invisible join that you just made on top of the chain 1. This thread I'm going to work away. And then we're ready for round 2. Let's just quickly take a moment to look at stitch count for this round, because your stitch count is important. If you just go back to the graph we made, along the long side you should have 333 stitches, and along the short side you should have 237 stitches, and that is from corner to corner. So the chain 2 corner you don't count, but the first stitch you then do. So that's from chain 2 space to chain 2 space, 333 or 237. So just quickly, just count your stitches and make sure that this is the stitch count that you actually have. This should be a multiple of 3. So in the next round when we add stitches, we can actually get the correct stitch count for the first row of the pattern. So this should be your stitch count for Nuts About Squares after round 1. Round 2 of the border. This round we're actually starting the first pattern round of the borders, because we now have a stitch count correct. We've got a stitch count that's a multiple of 3, so now we can actually add the next stitches to it. Going to start, you can start on any stitch, doesn't matter where you start. This round we're however not going to work through the entire stitch, but only the back loop. I'm going to start in this stitch. It really doesn't matter where you start. I'm just going to start here because then I can quickly show you the corner also. First stitch, attach with a slip stitch, chain 1. This is your first single, this counts as your first stitch. You're going to close that with an invisible join, just like we did here on the corner in the first round also. And in the next stitch, back loop, work a single crochet. Continue doing that until you get to a corner. So work a back loop, single crochet. When you get to the corner, that chain 2 space, you need to make a new corner. It's a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. After the corner, again on the first stitch, that's this one here, in the back loop, work a single crochet. And this way you're going to continue all the way around. Work a single crochet in each and every back loop. When you get to the corner, work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the chain 2 space. So you're making a new corner, and then here you're all the way around. On this first stitch, going to close here with an invisible join, exactly the same way we did at the end of round 1. And this is your first actual pattern round, because that first round was just to get your stitch count correct for the rest of the pattern to work. So I'm going to work all the way around, and then I'll see you for the next round. Round 3 of the border, I'm going to start with a new color yarn, and I'm going to attach my yarn with this slip stitch in the first single crochet after any chain 2 corner space. Doesn't matter which corner you choose. That corner, and then the first single crochet, and you're going to take the back loop and attach there with the slip stitch. What we're now going to do is work 3 single crochets. Chain 1, this is our first single crochet. We're going to complete it when we do the invisible join after we've come all the way round. That's 1, then number 2, and then number 3. So you've done 3 single crochets. Now I'm going to come down. You see this loop here from round 1. We're going to work a double crochet in that stitch, in that front loop. Just open up here. So the next stitch is that stitch. Come down. In this loop here, we're going to work a double crochet. Just pick up my yarn again. Set yarn over. And then from the bottom, go upwards through that stitch, pick up your yarn and work a double crochet, like so. Skipping the stitch to the back up where we're currently at, so we're going to skip that next stitch. You can see how you're skipping that little stitch there to the back, and then on the following stitch work a single crochet again. It's 1, 2, 3 single crochets. Now come down again and work a double crochet in the same position. So you see that's the same as the next stitch, but then come down to that loop here from the bottom, go through the stitch, pick up the loop and complete your double crochet. Again, skipping a stitch to the back. So that's kind of the spacing for the double crochet, that one stitch you're skipping. In the back loop of the next stitch, work a single crochet, and again this is the first of 3, so that's 1, 2, 3 double crochets. Next stitch, here, come down, work a double crochet, and this you're going to repeat until you're almost to the end. You're going to have 3 stitches left after your last repeat. I'll show you the repeat one more time. Going to skip that stitch, work the single crochet, just 3, so that's 1, 2, 3 single crochets, then come down, work the double crochet, and that is your repeat unit, these 4 stitches. Going to repeat this until you're basically almost to the next corner. You're going to have 3 stitches left, 3 stitches left before you get to your next corner. So do this until to the other side, and then I'll just show you how to go around the corner. So when you're almost to the end of the first edge, you're going to get to the corner. You should have 4 stitches left in total. The first one that one you still need to skip for the double crochet to have its place, and then you have 3 more stitches. Those 3, I'm going to work a single crochet on each of those. So I'm skipping that one stitch, then work the last 3 single crochets, and 3. Go onto the corner. Here you work your normal corner again, so that's a single crochet, chain 2, and then a single crochet in the same space. And now you're at the same point you're at the same point where we were when we started this round. So I'll just get you started again. On the first 3 stitches you work a single crochet. So this is the first stitch. And just be careful that you do actually take that first stitch, because this corner can kind of fall over it, so you don't accidentally skip this stitch and start here. You really want to start on that first stitch. Back loop, so everything is still back loop for this round. Work a single crochet. It's 1, 2, 3 single crochets. That's the first part of the repeat. Then this is the next stitch, come down here, pick up the front loop from the bottom and then work that double crochet. And this is again your repeat unit. I'll show you once more. Skipping the stitch to the back. See, I'm skipping a stitch. And work 3 doubles, singles. 1, 2, 3 single crochets all in the back loop. Then in the next stitch work a double crochet in that stitch coming down. Just open up a bit. You see here how your corner is also symmetrical. That's what you're going for. So I've got the 3 single crochets on either side, then you've got the doubles that are mirroring each other. So this is what you're going for. Just a few tips on this round. What you'll notice is that, if I can just get it in front of the camera, is that these double crochets will also line up with the joins that you've made. So it'll either be in the first stitch or the second stitch, depending on where you are in the border. It'll actually usually, if you've got 2 stitches, it'll be in the second stitch. If you've only got that 1 stitch like you have with the first join, it'll be in that stitch. So this double crochet should always line up with your with the join, like so. So that's just a checkpoint for you at all the way round. So what you're now going to do is this bit here. Repeat this until you get to your next corner. Then on the last 3 stitches work those 3 single crochets, and then do another corner and go like that all the way around. And on that first stitch that we made, you're going to just close on that that chain 1, close there with an invisible join. So go all the way around, then after that I'll see you for the next round. Round 4 of the border. I'm going to start with a new color yarn. I'm going to attach my yarn after any chain 2 space. It doesn't matter where you start. So this is a chain 2 space. The stitch just after that chain 2 space. But we're only going to be working in back loops. Only in the back loop. Attach your yarn with a slip stitch. Now we're ready to go. Chain 1. That's your first single crochet. You're going to finish this with an invisible join. Now we're going to do, for the corner, we're going to do the 1/2 of the corner, and then we'll do the last half when we come back just before closing. Going to do a front loop treble in, let me just open this up a little bit, in this loop here from round 1, in that loop. Going to do a front loop treble. So you see you've got there, that's double crochet in there, just a loop before it. So treble is twice over. So twice over on your yarn, then from bottom to top, just go through that loop, pick up your yarn, and then do your treble, and give this stitch enough room, because you don't want this loop here to pull that loop. That loop will pull, if you see, if I pull this tight, you see that pulls. So if you make this stitch loose enough, that will not pull up. So that's your front loop treble. Skip a stitch to the back, and then work a single crochet in the next. See, I'm skipping 2 stitches now. Only skip 1 stitch and then work a single crochet. There we go. This is part of the corner. Now we're ready to start our repeat unit on the edge. And this is going to be 3 single crochets and then a spike stitch. So I'm going to work 3 single crochets, everything back loop. So that's 1, 2, 3 single crochets, back loop. And now we're going to work a spike stitch, we're going to do that on the next stitch. Let me just show you. So this is the next stitch. So then we're not going to go through the top of the stitch, but through the bottom here, that position. So this is actually the position where where this stitch has been made in, through that loop there at the bottom. I'm going to make a slightly long single crochet, a spike stitch we call it also. So come down to the bottom of that stitch, pick up the loop, and then bring it up to the top, giving the stitch also room to breathe, and then work the single crochet. So you can see how it's long, that it's dropped down here. And that's the repeat unit. You're going to do this basically until you're to the other side. You're going to leave 6 stitches unworked at the other side. Let me show you the repeat once more. There's a single crochet, 3 of course, 1. The second one is also always on this double crochet you have here, and then the third one, and then that spike stitch or drop stitch is going to be exactly in the middle between these two. Drop, pick it up, come a bit up, and complete the single crochet. So now you've done the repeat 2 times. Show you one more time, and then continue working this along the entire edge until you're to the other side. It's 1 single crochet, 2, which is on the double. Remember, you're still doing everything only back loop. 3 singles, and then work a drop stitch, spike stitch is also called, giving the stitch room to breathe, and then complete the stitch. Repeat this until you're to your next corner. You're going to leave 6 stitches unworked. So repeat this until you have 6 stitches left. So I've now done the repeat almost to the next corner. At this point I have 6 stitches left. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches before the chain 2 corner space. And on these last stitches we're going to work 4 single crochets, then come down and work a treble again, and then work a single crochet on the last stitch. That's 4 single crochets, all back loop. 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets. Twice over, then the double crochet that they're going to do it next to this double crochet loop, that loop there. Come down, you're going to have to slightly just bend your work, just get into that loop properly. There you go. Be sure not to pull up that loop, but rather make your treble a bit looser. Bring your treble up top. Skipping 1 stitch to the back, then work a single crochet on the last stitch before the corner. Now we're at the corner. Just move everything a bit. At the corner, it's a single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet in the same stitch. Now we're on to our next edge. This can be a long edge, can be a short edge, doesn't matter where you started. I'm just going to get you started on the next repeat, but basically everything we've just done we're going to repeat here. I'm going to start by working 1 single crochet on the first stitch. Be sure to not accidentally skip that first stitch, because it might be covered by the corner. Back loop, the first stitch, single crochet. Now we're again going to come down and work a treble in that loop there, so exactly the same as as on the other side of the corner. Twice over, through the loop, pick up your yarn, and then work the treble, giving that treble room, see here how you're framing the point there, the corner. So this is a symmetrical corner. Skipping one stitch to the back. See, I'm skipping one stitch there. And then work a single crochet. And now we're at a point that we're going to start the small repeat unit again. It's 3 single crochets. It's 1, 2, 3 single crochets, followed by that spike stitch, and that you're again going to repeat until you're to the next corner. So 3 singles. That second one is always on the double, so that's a kind of a checkpoint for you. And then that dropped stitch again. Just getting everything up around the camera is a bit of a challenge sometimes. So now I've done the repeat 2 times. I'm again going to do this to the other side till I have 6 stitches left, and on those last 6 stitches, because you're going to stop here, that's going to be your last stitch. Then you work 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets. This treble that you're connecting to the front loop here on round 1, single crochet. Then the corner, single, chain 2 single, and then come round the corner, single in the first, then the treble again on the other side, so that loop is just before the double crochet, that loop there on round 1, and then you're ready to a single crochet, and then you're ready to start the repeat again. 3 singles and a drop stitch, 3 singles and a drop stitch. You're going to do this all the way around. Remember, we started with this stitch here, so you're going to finish with work those 4, this treble, work the single, work the corner, and then close on this first stitch on the with an invisible join. You're going to close on that stitch there to make your last connection. And when you've done all of that, this round does take some time. Also keep in mind of this corner. You really want this corner detail. You've done that. We're ready for the next round. Round 5. Going to start in the first stitch after the corner. Here's your chain 2 corner space. So the stitch after that, in the back loop, attach your yarn with a slip stitch. Our first stitch is a single crochet. To do it, chain 1. This counts as my single crochet. Going to complete this when we come round to do the invisible join. We're now going to come down. Let me just open this up and work a front post, a treble like this one in round 2, and that's going to be, for me, it's the light green there, that row. And we want the first single crochet of round 2. And you see it's that little loop here in there. Let me just hook that up onto my hook to really show you. There, that little loop. We're going to work a front post, a front loop, a treble in that front loop. Let me just say that correctly. Front post treble. So it's twice over. Then come down and through that loop work a treble. And then go 1, 2, 3 times. And what's important is not to pull up that loop, because you really want these to lie flat on your work, so don't open up that loop accidentally. I'm going to skip a stitch to the back. See how I'm skipping 1 stitch, and then work 3 back loop single crochets. It's 1, 2, 3 back loop single crochets. We're now going to work a drop stitch, spike stitch, very similar to what we did in the last row. In the next stitch, come come down to the base, pick up your yarn, bring this loop up to your current working position, so you don't want to work this too tight, really give this stitch some air, some room to breathe, and then complete the single crochet. These last 4 stitches that I just did, you're going to do that until you get to the corner. Just 1, 2, 3 back loop single crochets, and then on the next stitch again work a drop stitch or spike stitch, it's also called sometimes. And these drop stitches are always going to be on top of the double crochets that we did a few rows down. So that's always a checkpoint for you that this lines up. You see here they're also aligned. So we're going to repeat this, I'll show you once more, until you get to your next corner. You're going to leave 5 stitches unworked. So you work first 3 single crochets. This is the repeat again. 3 single crochets, and then the 4th is that drop stitch, which is above the double crochet, like so. So I've now done 3 repeats with you. Continue until you're to the corner, leaving 5 stitches unworked. I've now done the repeat until the next corner, and I have 5 stitches left. On these 5 stitches, work a single crochet on the first 3. It's back loop. It's 1, 2, 3. Now we're again going to work a front loop treble here in that little loop there of round 2. That's twice over. Fold your work to really get into that stitch from the bottom. Hook up, and be sure not to pull out that loop, to really, so keep your finger on it if that helps you to secure it. And then bring your treble to your current working position. Going to skip 1 stitch to the back, just check where it is, it's that stitch, going to skip that stitch, and then the next stitch, which is the last one before the chain 2 corner space, work a single crochet in the back loop. Now that completes your first edge. To make the corner, in the chain 2 space, work a single, chain 2, and a single again. There you go. And now we're at the same point we were when we started this round. Sorry, my voice is kind of going. I'll just show you the start of this round again. In the first stitch, you work a single crochet, back loop. Then we come down and we're going to work a treble again in that little loop there. It's twice over. Into that first loop from round 2. Work a treble. There you go. Skipping 1 stitch to the back. See, I'm skipping 1 stitch. Work 3 single crochets, back loop. 1, 2, 3, and then again a drop stitch in the next, like so. And then this is again your repeat unit, these 4 stitches. Going to do this until you get to the corner, your next corner, leaving 5 stitches unworked, and then do what you just done here. So do this all the way around. On your first stitch, remember there was a chain 1, going to close on there with an invisible join. Going to be working the edge of round 6 now. Just a tip, I suggest going up a hook size, because this might just help you to get these trebles nice and flowy, that you don't pull your work too much. So if you're struggling getting these front post trebles to fit nicely, consider going up a hook size for this round. I'll be doing that actually because I did find that then my stitches are just a little bit neater. So go up a hook size if it makes you feel more comfortable. Round 6. So we're going to start, this is the any chain 2 corner stitch. I'm going to start in the stitch next to it in the back loop. Get my hook in there with a slip stitch, attach your yarn. Chain 1, this counts as your first single crochet, and then do your next single crochet in the stitch next to it. Now I'm going to work a front post treble 2 together. We're going to work it around the double crochet here, and if you see here on round 3, you see that single crochet here, that one there. If I just put my hook around there, that post, we're going to work our stitch around there also. This means twice over, because it's a treble, around that post, pick up a loop, take off 2, take off 2, then twice over, and now the double crochet. Take up a loop, take off 2 loops, take off 2 loops, 3 loops on your hook at this point, take them all off. I'm going to skip a stitch to the back, see how I'm skipping the next stitch, and then work a single crochet, and this is the first of 2 single crochets. You can kind of see this treble here is turning. That's how it supposed to be. It has to turn over these 2 stitches below. Now we're ready to start the repeat unit we're going to be doing along the edge. It's 3 single crochets or back loop, 2, 3. That means here you have 5 single crochets next to one another. Now those 3 are part of the repeat unit. Now again a treble 2 together, and this time around this double crochet, which already contains this one leg, and the next one. I'm going to do twice over, around the first post, pick up a leg, and then twice over, and around the second post, pick up a leg, and take both off. At the back, skip 1 stitch, and then work 3 singles. This is now the second repeat unit we're doing. So now again a front post treble 2 together around this post, which already contains that leg, and the next one. And this way you're going to be building these V's along the edge. And you're going to continue doing this until you have 8 stitches left. And then we get to the corner, and then I'll show you how to do the corner. 3 loops on your hook, take them all off. Skipping a stitch to the back, work 3 singles. 1, 2, 3. And now you would again work a treble 2 together around this loop, this post, and that post. See how you're building these V stitches. What you'll notice is that little drop stitch there is nicely centered between the 2 V stitches, and that's exactly the look that we're going for. And this V drop stitch here is centered at the bottom of these V stitches. That's the pattern that we're going for. So this little repeat unit, the 4 singles, the 3 singles and then the treble 2 together, do that all the way until you're to the other side. You should have 8 stitches left, and then I'll just show you the corner. I've done all the repeats, and at this point we have 8 stitches left. Now on the first 5, of course, you're going to skip that next stitch, skipping 1 stitch, and on the next 5 work a back loop single crochet. 2, 3, 4, and 5 single crochets. We're now again going to do a double crochet around front, actually a treble crochet front post around this little stitch here from round 3 and the double crochet you have here, so around those 2 stitches. Twice over, first around the double crochet. Let me just hook that up, and you're really going to have to fold your work to really get into that stitch this time around, because it's further back with the 5 singles you just did here as opposed to the 3. And twice over, then again around that single crochet from round 3, around the post of that single crochet. And take off 2 loops, take off loops, 2 loops, 3 loops on your hook. Take them all off in one go. Skipping 1 stitch to the back, you're going to work your last 2 single crochets. There you go. In the corner, it's 1 single, chain 2, and 1 single. And now we're at the same point we were when we started this round. So I'm just going to show you the start once more. On the first 2 stitches we work a single crochet. Be sure not to accidentally skip the first one. This 1 and 2. Now again a front post double crochet, treble crochet, around this single crochet and that double crochet. Twice over, first around the post of the single, one, and then around the post of the double, so next, and take them both off. Going to do skipping the next stitch. Let me just see, that's skip that 1 stitch, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets. Remember, you're doing it has to be symmetrical with what you did on this side. Now again a front post treble 2 together around the 2 double crochets. Twice over. First around the double crochet on this side, and then the double crochet on that side. Giving your stitches room to breathe, make sure that you can really bring them up to your current working position. Skip a stitch to the back and work 3 single crochets, and see how I'm doing the repeat unit again. 3 single crochets, and now again a front post treble 2 together around these 2 double crochets. Twice over, first double crochet, and then around the second, take them all off. Skip a stitch to the back, and then again 3 singles. Now this is the rhythm. This you're going to do all the way around. I'm going to open up here. This you're going to do all the way around. When you get to your first stitch, it's going to be that one. Close on the single crochet next to it with an invisible join, so making the hat on that last, as a last step for this round. You can see your round it'll pull a little inward. You'll see here on this edge is curling inward. Don't worry about this. When we work the next round, this will open up a bit. So go all the way around, work all these front post trebles. What you'll see happening is you'll see this little loop pulling up just a little bit. Don't worry about that. That's normal. That's is kind of part of working surface crochet. So don't stress too much about this. Go all the way around, and then I'll see you for the next round. Round 7. So after this very intense round 6, round 7 is very relaxing. I'm going to attach our yarn in any stitch, doesn't matter which stitch. I'm just going to choose this one, back loop, attach with a slip stitch. And now we're going to do a single crochet in each and every stitch across. Chain 1, that's our first stitch. And then do a single crochet in every stitch, back loop, all the way round. When you get to a corner, I'm going to do a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So that's the corner we've been working up to now. And that would be here. That would be at corner space. I'm going to do a single, chain 2, and this single crochet. Now you're onto the straight edge again. Next stitch is this one here, back loop, single, and go all the way around, back loop, single crochet in every stitch. And when you get to the first stitch, close there with an invisible join, and go all the way round. Round 8, we're going to attach in the first stitch after any chain 2 space. So you've got your chain 2 corner space here, that next stitch immediately after it, back loop. There we go. Going to do 4 single crochets. First one is a chain 1. Going to complete this again with the invisible join, and then 3 more. That's 1, 2, and 3. We're now again doing a drop stitch, a spike stitch, just like we've done a few times before. So in the next stitch, the bottom of that stitch, pick up, come up to the top, and work a single crochet. The next 3 stitches, work a single crochet in the back loop, so that's 1, 2, 3, and then your next stitch again, come down, pick up, and a single crochet. Then again 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, then the next stitch, come down and work a drop stitch. At this point you'll see the stitches line up with the V stitches you have down here. These first 2, they don't particularly line up in the pattern, but from here onwards it will. So again, 3 single crochets, everything back loop, and then the next stitch again, the bottom of that stitch, pick up your loop and work the single crochet. This you're going to do until you have 4 stitches left. So repeat these 3 single crochets and the drop stitch until you have 3 stitches left before the corner, and then I'll just show you the corner once more. So continue to the other side, leaving 4 stitches unworked. So I've done this repeat quite a few times, these 4 stitches, and at this point you should have 4 stitches left before the corner. In those 4 stitches you're going to do a single crochet in each back loop. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. The corner, the same as all our other corners, going to work a single in the chain 2 space, chain 2, and then another single in that same space. Now we're on to the next edge, and we're going to do exactly the same here as we've done before on this edge. The first 4 stitches, single crochet, back loop. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, followed by a drop stitch, spike stitch in the next, coming down, bring that up, complete the single crochet. Start our repeat unit again. That's 3 single crochets, back loop. It's 1, 2, 3, and then on the next stitch work a spike stitch again. Once more, 3 single crochets, back loop, and 3, and then on the next stitch a spike stitch again. And this repeats, these 4 stitches, you're going to do this again till you get to the last 4 stitches, working those 4 singles and a corner. Go all the way around, and on your first stitch, which will be this one here, the equivalent at the starting position, close over that with an invisible join. Round 9, very similar to round 8, because we're again going to be working drop stitches. Attach your yarn in the first stitch after a corner in the back loop. There you go. 3 single crochets to start with. Chain 1 is the first one, and then 2 more. And 2. Next stitch, going to do a spike stitch or a drop stitch, depending how you want to call it, and a single crochet. Next 3 stitches, single crochet on each, back loop, and 3, and then again a drop stitch. I'm going to repeat these 4 stitches until you're to the other side, where you will have 3 stitches left, and on those last 3 stitches you work a single crochet on each. Then you're to your corner, where you work a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. So this round is very similar to everything we've done before. See how I've now worked a few of these repeat units. can see a few of those repeat units here. So what you're going to do, you're going to continue doing this, a 3 single crochets and then a drop stitch. Do that until you have, before the corner, 3 stitches left. You'll have 3 single crochets left unworked, and those 3 stitches work 3 singles because you want to get a symmetrical corner, because our corner has always been symmetrical up to this point. In the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then start your next edge. I'm not going to show you the corner because I'm sure you'll be able to do it without me. So go all the way around, and then I'll see you for the last round of the border. Last round of the border, round 10. You're going to attach in any stitch, then work a single crochet in every stitch all the way round. That's what we're going to do this round. I'm just going to attach in this stitch, doesn't matter which one you take. This is completely arbitrary. Chain 1, that's my first single crochet, and then work a single crochet back loop in every stitch. When you get to a corner, I'm going to work a single, chain 2 and a single, which we're going to do now. Chain 2 and a single in the same space, and then continue along the edge and work a single in every stitch, all back loop. And when you get back to the first stitch, you close there with an invisible join. So continue and go all the way round. When you're all done, work away your yarn tails, and you'll notice that your blanket is curling in a bit, the border. So take a moment to just block your blanket one last time, just get your border nice and flat. And then that brings us to the end of this project. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again on a new project.